The blue brand just got a whole lot more dangerous. When the lights dimmed and that unmistakable presence filled the arena, every single person in that building knew they were witnessing something monumental. Oba Femi, the absolute juggernaut who dominated NXT like few before him, has officially arrived on SmackDown, and let me tell you, the entire landscape of Friday nights just shifted on its axis. What happened when this unstoppable force made his presence known? Who felt the impact first? And what does this mean for every single champion, contender, and superstar on the roster? Stay with me, because what went down is going to change everything you thought you knew about SmackDown. Let's set the scene. It's Friday night, the crowd is electric, and SmackDown is in full swing. We're deep into a show that's already delivered some incredible moments, but nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, saw what was coming next. The match that was taking place seemed routine enough at first. A couple of mid-card competitors going at it, the audience engaged but not quite at fever pitch. Then something changed. The atmosphere shifted. You could feel it before you could see it. The arena went dark. Complete blackout. That moment of confusion rippled through the crowd like a wave. People pulled out their phones, the glow of thousands of screens creating this eerie constellation of light in the darkness. And then, the sound. That deep, resonating pulse of entrance music that NXT fans knew all too well, but for the SmackDown audience, this was brand new. This was their first encounter with something truly special. When the lights came back up, there he was. Oba Femi. 6'4", 275 pounds of pure, concentrated power and athleticism. Standing at the top of the ramp with this presence that just commanded every single eye in that building. The camera caught it perfectly, that slow pan up his frame, the expression on his face, this calm, calculated intensity that told you everything you needed to know. This wasn't just another debut. This was a statement. This was a declaration. The reaction from the crowd was split-second evolution. First, confusion from those who didn't follow NXT. Who is this? Where did he come from? Then recognition from the die-hard fans who knew exactly what they were looking at. The gasps. The shocked faces. And then, that building roar of excitement because even if you didn't know the name, you knew you were looking at something dangerous. You knew you were looking at a future main eventer. Michael Cole's voice cut through the chaos. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's Oba Femi. The ruler has come to SmackDown. And Wade Barrett, you could hear the excitement mixed with legitimate concern in his voice, responded with, "This changes everything, Cole." Every single superstar in that locker room just got put on notice. Oba made his way down that ramp with purpose. Not rushed. Not slow. Just this measured, confident stride that screamed dominance. Every step echoed with authority. The competitors in the ring, they'd stopped their match completely. They stood there, frozen, trying to process what was happening. Should they leave? Should they stay? Should they prepare for a fight? The uncertainty was palpable. When Oba reached the ring, he didn't slide in. He didn't vault over the ropes. He stepped over them. Just casually stepped over the top rope like it was a minor inconvenience, barely breaking stride. That simple action said everything. The size. The athleticism. The sheer presence. This man was built different. The two competitors in the ring, they tried to stand their ground. Give them credit for that. They tried to look tough, tried to maintain some dignity. But you could see it in their eyes. The calculation happening in real time. The understanding that they were now face to face with someone operating on an entirely different level. Oba looked at them, one to the other, and the slightest hint of a smile crossed his face. Not a friendly smile. A predator's smile. What happened next was poetry and violence. The first competitor, bless him for trying, charged at Oba. Big mistake. Massive mistake. Oba caught him mid-run, just snatched him out of the air like he weighed nothing, and delivered a spine-buster that shook the entire ring. The impact was sickening. The sound echoed through the arena. The crowd exploded. That was the moment everyone understood. This wasn't hype. This wasn't exaggeration. This was the real deal. The second competitor, showing slightly more intelligence, tried to bail. Started backing toward the ropes. But Oba was faster than someone his size had any right to be. He covered the distance in a flash, grabbed the poor guy by the back of the head, and launched him across the ring with a released German suplex that had people in the front row flinching. The body crashed and crumbled, and Oba stood in the center of the ring, barely breathing hard, surveying the destruction like a king surveying his kingdom. The crowd was absolutely unglued. Chants of holy shit mixed with welcome to SmackDown mixed with stunned silence from people still processing what they just witnessed. Oba called for a microphone. The ring announcer practically tripped over himself getting it to him, and when Oba spoke, his voice carried that same measured intensity as his movements. 4 months, I dominated NXT. 4 months, I held the North American Championship and dared anyone to take it from me. No one could. No one did. I outgrew that brand. I outgrew that title. And now. He paused, letting the anticipation build, letting the crowd hang on every word. Now I'm here on SmackDown. And I'm here for one reason and one reason only. Dominance. Every championship on this brand, every accolade, every opportunity, it all goes through me now. I am the ruler. This is my kingdom. And anyone who disagrees. He gestured to the 2 broken bodies in the ring. Well, you've seen what happens. The microphone drop was thunderous. Oba's music hit again, and he stood there, arms spread, soaking in the moment. This was his arrival. This was his coronation. And backstage, you just knew every single superstar was watching on monitors with a mix of excitement and dread. Cut to backstage, and the reaction shots were priceless. The Street Profits, watching with wide eyes, Montez Ford just shaking his head muttering nah, bruh, nah. Angelo Dawkins looking genuinely concerned. Santos Escobar, the current speed and agility, looking at his own crew with this expression that said we might have a problem. Even some of the veterans, guys who'd seen it all, had this look of respect mixed with wariness. But here's where it gets really interesting. The cameras caught LA Knight in his locker room, watching the monitor. Knight, the loudest guy in the room, the most confident talker in WWE, just sat there silent for a moment. Then he stood up, walked closer to the screen, and you could see his jaw clench. He knew. Everyone knew. There was a new apex predator on SmackDown, and the entire food chain just got reshuffled. The following segment of SmackDown had this electric undercurrent running through it. Every match, every promo, everything was colored by what had just happened. Commentary kept referencing it. How will the locker room respond to Oba Femi's arrival? Who's going to step up to challenge the ruler? The speculation was endless and delicious. Then we got the backstage interview. Kayla Braxton, microphone in hand, managed to catch up with Oba as he was walking through the backstage area. Oba, can we get your thoughts on your SmackDown debut? Oba stopped, turned to face her, and that intensity hadn't diminished one bit. My thoughts? My thoughts are simple. I didn't come to SmackDown to make friends. I didn't come here to slowly work my way up. I came here to take what's mine. The United States Championship, the Tag Team Championships, the undisputed WWE Championship. They're all in my sights. And whoever holds them right now? They're just keeping them warm for me. Before Kayla could follow up, there was a commotion. Bobby Lashley walked into frame. The Almighty. A man who knows a thing or two about dominance. The 2 titans stood face to face, and the camera work was perfect, cutting between their faces, capturing every micro-expression. The tension was suffocating. Neither man blinked. Neither man backed down. Lashley spoke first. I've been watching you in NXT. Impressive. But this is SmackDown, young man. This is the big leagues. And I've broken bigger, badder, and more dominant men than you. Oba's response was ice cold. Then you know what's coming. And when it does, all your experience, all your accolades, all your accomplishments, they won't matter. Because you've never faced anyone like me. The staredown continued. Security started gathering, sensing this could explode at any second. Officials tried to create space. But both men held their ground, neither willing to look away, neither willing to concede an inch. Finally, Lashley stepped back, but pointed at Oba with this look that promised violence. Soon, he said. And Oba just smiled that predators smile again. Social media absolutely exploded. Within minutes, Oba Femi was trending worldwide. Twitter was on fire with reactions. Former NXT stars who'd shared the ring with him were posting warnings to the SmackDown roster. Good luck, you're gonna need it. The ruler has arrived, and SmackDown will never be the same. Wrestling journalists were already booking out fantasy matches. Oba versus Lashley. Oba versus Knight. Oba versus Roman when he returns. The possibilities were endless and exciting, but what makes Oba Femi's debut so significant goes beyond just the immediate impact. This is a guy who held the NXT North American Championship for over 300 days. 300 days of dominance. 300 days of destroying everyone put in front of him. He didn't just win matches, he demolished opponents. He made established stars look like rookies. He brought this perfect combination of raw power, surprising agility, and calculated intelligence that's so rare in wrestling. His moveset is devastating. That powerbomb he calls the ruler's end? It's ended more matches and potentially more careers than any other move in NXT over the past year. The way he can deadlift opponents from seemingly impossible positions and just drive them through the mat with authority is something you don't see often. And his submission game? Don't sleep on it. He's made heavyweights tap out, something that should be impossible given his style, but he finds ways. The character work is equally impressive. Oba doesn't need to scream or overact. His presence does the talking. The way he carries himself, the measured way he speaks, the calm before the storm, it's all perfectly calculated. He's not trying to be the loudest. He's trying to be the most effective. And in a locker room full of personalities competing for attention, that actually makes him stand out more. Think about the timing of this debut too. SmackDown has been in this interesting position lately. Great talent, incredible matches, but there's been this sense that they needed that next big thing, that game changer. Someone who could come in and immediately be positioned at the main event level without it feeling forced. Oba Femi is that guy. His NXT resume justifies putting him right into title pictures. His look and presence justify putting him in marquee matches immediately. This isn't a slow build. This is plug and play at the highest level. And the potential feuds are mouth-watering. Imagine Oba versus Cody Rhodes if Cody's still champion. The American Nightmare versus the Ruler. The story writes itself. Technical excellence and heart versus raw dominance and power. Or Oba versus Kevin Owens. The veteran prizefighter who's seen everything versus the young lion convinced he's unstoppable. The promos alone would be worth the price of admission. Tag team scenarios? Oba could single-handedly decimate entire teams. Imagine him interrupting DIY or the Street Profits or any other team, just destroying both members by himself. It would be brutal, it would be believable, and it would be incredible television. Or flip it, put Oba in a tag team with another monster, and you've got the most destructive duo in recent memory. The women's division is incredible on SmackDown, but the men's division just got this shot of adrenaline it desperately needed. Not because it was lacking, but because Oba brings this element of unpredictability. You don't know who he's going to target next. You don't know when he's going to strike. And that uncertainty creates this delicious tension that permeates everything. Looking back at that debut, every element was perfect. The timing within the show, coming when it did, gave it maximum impact. The visual presentation, the lighting, the camera work, all cinematic. The physical demonstration, destroying two guys convincingly without making it look cartoonish. The promo, short, confident, menacing. And that backstage confrontation with Lashley, the cherry on top, immediately establishing a program and giving us something to anticipate. What happens next is what makes this so exciting. Will Oba go after the United States Championship first, establishing himself in that mid-card title scene before ascending? Will he jump straight into the main event picture, declaring himself the #1 contender for the undisputed championship? Will he systematically work through the roster, destroying everyone until management has no choice but to give him whatever he wants? All of these paths are possible, all of them are exciting. The SmackDown locker room has to be on edge. Every match you're in now, you have to wonder, is tonight the night Oba Femi decides I'm next? Is tonight the night the ruler makes an example out of me? That psychological element, that constant threat, it elevates everything. Suddenly every entrance has potential. Every commercial break could come back to chaos. And from a fan perspective, this is exactly what we want to see. NXT call UPS done right. Not someone coming up and immediately losing to establish they're in the big leagues now. Not someone floating around aimlessly for months while creative figures out what to do with them. This is a star coming in and immediately being treated like a star. This is someone NXT built up being rewarded for that build by maintaining that momentum. Oba Femi's arrival on SmackDown represents possibility. The possibility of fresh feuds. The possibility of incredible matches. The possibility of moments we'll remember for years. That debut will be played in video packages and highlight reels forever. It was that good. It was that impactful. And it's just the beginning. So where does this leave us? It leaves us with a SmackDown that just got infinitely more interesting. It leaves us with a roster that's been put on notice. It leaves us with fans who have someone new to invest in, whether you're cheering for him as this unstoppable force of nature or whether you're desperate to see someone finally stop him. Either way, you're invested. The ruler has arrived. His kingdom is SmackDown, and every single superstar on that brand is now living in Oba Femi's world. The question isn't if he'll capture championship gold. The question is when, and who's going to be unfortunate enough to be holding it when he decides to take it. The blue brand just entered a new era. An era of dominance. An era of power. An era of the ruler. If you're as excited about Oba Femi's future on SmackDown as I am, make sure to let me know in the comments. Who do you want to see him face first? What championship should he target? And do you think anyone can actually stop him? Drop your thoughts below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of one of the most impactful debuts in recent memory, show some love with a like and make sure you're subscribed because SmackDown just got a whole lot more interesting, and we're going to be covering every single moment of Oba Femi's reign of dominance. The ruler is here, and the entire WWE is about to find out why that name isn't just a nickname, it's a prophecy. I'll catch you in the next one.